Whoosh. Why do I lean back when executing my side kicks? I have a subscriber that was critiquing my side kick. They said that I lean back too much, right? They said I could lose power on my technique, lose my balance, fall over, right? I'm going to explain in this video why I lean back, the reasons for that, right? I've been doing martial arts for a very long time now, and still, for years, competed in tournaments, fighting, backyard fights, went to different schools and compete, right? And I've used a variety of different techniques. I've learned that it's good not to limit yourself, because the subscriber was saying that it's not a traditional way of kicking like karate, right? I'm from a traditional background. So he was showing me videos of this other martial arts practitioner that was throwing the side kick in a specific way. I am from a traditional background and trained traditional, but I also will implement different ways of kicking and doing different techniques. I'm not going to only stick to one concept, right? Because then you won't be able to grow. It's always good to implement different ways of kicking. Even if you're karate or kung fu, Wing Chun, or whatever you're doing, it's always good to implement different ways of kicking. Because it depends on your opponent you're fighting too, can make a big difference. The reach of the person, how tall or short, how big or small, it depends. You might need to adjust when you're throwing your technique. And of course it's traditional. And I have respect for tradition. But after a while, you're doing this for so long, you can then bring out yourself now. You can implement your way of kicking that works for you, that works for your body structure, which you basically make it your own. So I will demonstrate the reasons why I lean back. Oos. Alright, I'm going to demonstrate side kick, right? In my opinion, this is an incorrect way of throwing your side kick, right? Power comes from your feet all the way to your hip, right? If you notice here, from my pivot of my foot is not completely pivoted all the way around, so my hip is not turned over. So this right here is bad form in my opinion. You're losing power, you're going to lose your balance. Through proper form, you will have great technique, accuracy, balance when executing your technique. Now I'm going to show you the correct way. If you look now, my hip turns all the way over. My standing leg is pivoting all the way facing the other direction, right? I'm also showing you that you could lean with this kick, but you can also fall down depending on the person. But I've trained this kick over the years, for many years, and I'm able to balance my body on one leg, shift my body upwards and downwards, my upper part of my body. This is advanced. To be able to do that, it's going to take a lot of training. It can take you a lifetime to develop that balance, coordination, and also the flexibility to maneuver your body at any level. Jodan, Chodan, or Gaidan. You have to understand when you're delivering a kick, when you maneuver your body from a little lower, a little higher, will determine the height of your kick also. You don't want to be too stiff upwards when you're doing your kick, because you're going to limit yourself on your movement, on the range of your technique, which leaves you predictable, easy to be read. Here I'm showing you the hip motion when I'm doing my kicks, showing you that everything comes up from your feet all the way to your hips, using your entire body as one. The rotation of your hips is where you get your power from, right? Kicking or punching. There are different variations of the side kick. You can use a side kick as a defense. You can use a side kick as an offense, right? You can counter with your side kick. There's a side kick that you can run towards your opponent, which you call shuffle kick or running side kick, where you run the back leg forward and execute the kick. Some styles, it's considered to be a back kick, right? Like here, for example, boom, kind of running that back leg, kind of behind that front, pushing the leg out. As I said, in some styles, it's considered to be a back kick, right? You can use a side kick, as I said, as a counter or as defensive, going backwards, sticking your leg out, locking the knee out, stopping your opponent in his track. So your opponent will just run into your leg, right? It works when your opponent is charging at you and you stop him in his tracks, right? As I said, you can also push forward with your side kick and use it as more as an offense kind of thing. Level changing is going to happen when implementing these side kicks. You can also switch stance with your side kick. If you're an orthodox or southpaw, you can throw that kick from off the back leg, right? So there's many ways, I said, of delivering this side kick. You can throw your side kick from off the front leg also, switching to the side. If you are in a southpaw stance or an orthodox, you can fire that kick just from off of that front leg. And like I mentioned, you can use it as a defense counter. The person will just run right into your side kick, but you have to lock your knees out, right? You can snap the kick or you can lock your knees out, depending on the situation you're in, right? If you notice, I bring my knees up. You always want to bring your knees up. The higher you bring the knee is the higher the kick's going to be. And you will have better precision, accuracy when delivering your technique. So you always want to chamber that side kick before executing it. This goes for any technique when you're starting out with your training. For me, I throw it all in one motion now because I've been doing this for a long time. I've been training for years. What I'm showing you right here now, I'm showing you the leaning forward upwards when executing your side kick. I'm showing you here I'm able to lean forward and lean backwards, right? I'm able to keep my balance like this. This is advanced. I'm showing you here when you lean forward too much, depending on who you're fighting, the person can counter you. Usually a side kick counter could be spinning heel kick and sometimes a spinning back kick. It depends. Right? So I learned this from competition, sparring and fighting. When you lean too forward, you're too erect forward, depending on who you're sparring or fighting now, you can get countered, right? Street fight scenario, person has a knife or a weapon, you're too forward, you're too stiff. You want to keep your body flexible. You want to be able to move in any direction, shift your body upward, downward, any level, any position that I need to adapt to. I'm used to this position because I've trained it for years. So it works for me. Maybe somebody else could be different. It all depends on the person, right? Everybody is different. Height, weight, right? The reach, yeah, tall, short. It all depends on what works for you. For me, I've adapted this kind of leaning technique and it works wonderful for me, right? And it also gives me the opportunity to switch up my kicks if I need to, right? If I'm too erect forward, there are some kicks that you won't be able to execute because you're too stiff. Being flexible like this, you can throw any kick you need to. If you need to switch from a side kick to a roundhouse kick, you can do that. If you need to reverse the side kick, you can do that, right? If you need to spin with a spinning heel, you can do that. You see, so you're not limiting yourself to just one position. Here I'm showing you I could do this with also the left leg. So you train both legs the same. If I need to lean with my left, I can do the same thing too. So I've trained to throw my kicks straight up or lean back slightly, depending on the situation.